Hey everybody, it's John Velie, CEO of OnlineVisas. I'm here with another episode, I think we're at episode 11 now, of immigration solutions during the coronavirus. So thanks for tuning in. This is week 3 of covering these things. Week 3 is a tough one. They're saying that this week will be the highest death toll of any the United States has suffered. And places like New York and New Jersey, it's really gotten bad. I think that we've seen that we're now, hi Rick Hum. Rick Hum's watching us today, that New York is at 100, and I got to look at my eyeballs here, 131,569 cases with 4,758 deaths. New Jersey already has over 1,000 deaths as well. Hi, William Razalika, great rugby player there, and Paul Riddle. Looks like we got a rugby section coming in. Well, it's great to see you guys. I'm John Velie, CEO of OnlineVisas. We're talking about immigration and the coronavirus, where we talk about more than that, but that's where we're at. So today we're at 1,342,480 cases. Nothing to be proud of. Looks like we've had 74,000 deaths. Now, some good news, if you look around, is 278,000 people have recovered. 278,189. So that's good news. And of the 942,227 cases right now in the world, 95% are in mild condition. So most people are getting through this, so that's good news. I think that's kind of how we feel about it. You know, we're trying to shelter in place, trying to do what we need to do. Now, some states are better than others. Hey, Chad London. Some states are better than others about this. I'm in a state, Oklahoma, that isn't really very scared of it. Our governor isn't very scared of it. And look, that's kind of okay. But one thing that kind of bothers you, right, is you go to Walmart or Walgreens to have to go get something, you know, and you try to not get out for days, and you go there, and none of the people working there are wearing masks. None of them are having gloves on, you know, and they're holding your stuff, and that's okay, I guess. But, you know, anybody that does have it that may have given them something that they got on their hands, they're going to give it away. So that doesn't feel real great. I think some of the other places are much better than we are, because they've suffered from it more, and that's kind of what's going on. So, you know, that's kind of where we are. A couple of other things on the immigration front. Looking at, I think 5 migrants have tested positive for coronavirus in ICE detention centers in Pennsylvania, and I think we might see that kind of throw through there. You never really think of the prisoners and people that are jailed during times like this, or the homeless folks, man. I mean, as much as this is frustrating for us, imagine a scenario like that. We heard that Joe Exotic has I guess, gotten the coronavirus. And, you know, also we heard that the tigers in the Bronx Zoo got the coronavirus. So maybe we shouldn't let Joe out too soon, since tigers can catch this too. I don't know if anybody's been watching that train wreck of a show, but pretty interesting stuff. Janusz is there. Good to see you, Janusz. Good to check in. John Toole, Matthew Legorges, and Charles Hopgood. Thanks for turning in. It's John Velie. We're talking about immigration during the coronavirus. Been doing this for 3 weeks now, or into our 3rd week. Interesting article in Forbes magazine. This guy, Stuart Anderson's been really great on covering immigration and talking about the USNS Comfort medical ship coming in, and how you really need more doctors. That's something we've been focusing on, and getting closer to that. We got a lot of doctors that want to come over here, trying to help them migrate through this time to get them over. You know, some countries are really locked down right now, like India, but they have a lot of doctors, and those folks want to help, and we're trying to get them over here. So I've actually had some inroads with some folks today, but nothing really to report on yet, but really want to do that in a big way. And looking forward to that. So that's kind of where we are on those things. What I want to talk about today is the H-1B visa and some things that have happened that are sort of lost under the, you know, coronavirus is just taking over everything. And that's that a really excellent decision was made by the D.C. District Courts in a case called ITServe versus Cissna. Cissna was the head of U.S. immigration. When you sue the United States government, you don't sue the government, you sue the officials in their stead. And the ITServe decision was really fantastic. ITServe is an association. It started out of near Dallas in Irving, Texas, and 10 guys in 2010. A couple of really excellent guys. I got to know a number of them. Started this because in 2010, they changed how immigration was looking at these visas, primarily for the Indian staffing companies. Now, if you're not familiar with what Indian staffing companies do, they've essentially propped up our tech sector in the United States. Now, we're the world's greatest tech sector. But surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, we have to import our talent for that, right? We don't have enough kids that, graduate with the STEM degrees. STEM, I mean by science, technology, engineering, and math, right? I couldn't even do that stuff. I think I got through 10th grade math. And a lot of folks do. We go to liberal arts degrees and things like that. Well, China and India, Iran, a number of other countries really focus on that part. And we need to import that talent. And we have. And we've done a really excellent job of it. But we've made it tougher and tougher for these folks to come in. There's been a real target on the backs of these staffing companies who come in and they hire, they train, they pay for all the legal fees, they fly these folks over, and they'll play them or they'll place them in other sections to go in for temporary periods of time. So immigration has been really tough. Hi, Jack Clark, here's my coach from Cal Berkeley, Brandon Smoot, Freddie Watiti, and Brett Sanner. Good to see all of you guys. I'm John Velie. We're talking about immigration and the COVID virus, and we're talking about the H-1B visa and how the import of Indian talent has really bolstered our tech sector. Now, what's really interesting is we take this for granted. We take that we're the home of Apple and Google and all of those other places, many of which have executives that are immigrants from foreign countries. A lot of the startups are. Now, why do they come here? Right? Why can't they just do this at home? Well, there is a real magic, lightning in the bottle thing that's going on in America and always has, right? Now, one of those is really because of how the Bay Area deals with technology, right? So it's not just America, but in the Bay Area in particular, it's because the lenders are so creative, right? In the rest of the world, what we have to do is go take loans and put our houses up, and that's how we can get a company started. But the Bay Area has gotten very excellent at identifying talent. That's why the new Amazons and all that stuff come out of there. But we can lose that. That 200% increase in immigration into Canada. Canada knows that it wants to obtain all the best scientists, researchers, and tech talent in the world, while America is closing the door in their face. And what's happening with these difficult H-1Bs is it's really having an impact on other unintended industries. For example, universities. Do you know that 25% less Indians and Chinese are coming to American universities? That is, I don't know, about $2 million in tuition, right? $2 million in tuition is not coming into the United States because of the Chinese and Indians that don't believe they can stay if they graduate from our universities. And that impact goes, rolls downhill as well, because the people that spend the most money coming to our universities are not just those from out of state, but out of country. They pay the most that they can for tuition. That's why our state universities, like I went to the University of California and the University of Oklahoma, they subsidized our tuition, right? We don't have to pay full fare because the out-of-state, out-of-country kids are coming in and doing it. And what we're doing is we're making that more difficult on them, and we're making it more difficult across the board, right? So these policies that are being implemented by our government are really horrific, and they're doing it in a really bad way. So what I'm here to talk about today is this ITServe Alliance versus Cissna case. It was fantastic. It really scolded immigration for not following their own policies. Congress passes laws, right? That's how it works with the separation of powers. Congress will put up a law or put up a bill, and then the president signs it or either agrees with it or disagrees with it. It's just a one-off, right? It's a veto or he signs it through. So Congress has already defined what a specialty occupation is under the law, and they put up these requirements, and you can hit hit one of these 4 requirements, and between 3 and 4 it says the word "or," which really means in plain language, if you hit any of the 4 of them, you're there. Well, immigration has really created some very creative solutions on how to deny cases, and they make you hit more than one of 4. They've come up with some really ridiculous definitions of what a profession is. They've come up with a really limited concept that you have to have a specific major to go into a profession. You can't come from a lot of different majors or a few different majors. You can only be one, which doesn't make sense. And they keep getting knocked down by the courts. Well, ITServe Alliance did that. And one of the things that immigration had done is in 2018, February 2018, it came out with a new memo. And this new memo said, in order to have an H-1B visa, where you're going to bring in an American company wants to hire this individual. So again, these are attacks, arbitrary determinations by our government on our own companies that believe they need to hire the best talent it can so they can stay the top of the tech industry, right? That's what they're trying to do. And so they keep getting nailed by this. And so one of the things that immigration has done is make sure that there are itineraries that say to a day what these people are going to do. Now, these visas are good for 3 years, right? So in my company, could I really say when I hire somebody that I know exactly what that person's going to do, which cases, which clients they're going to work on? Absolutely no, I can't do that, right? We get a new client or numbers of new clients every single day. I can't say in 3 years they're going to be working on this client. Well, that's what immigration has forced companies to be able to prove in order to hire foreign talent, right? These itineraries down to the day. And if you can't show how long it's going to be, not only will they not give you the case or not give you the visa for that length of time, they'll say you haven't proven that it's non-speculative work for this entire time, and they deny the entire case. So this ITServe case came down, and it said that USCIS was wrong, right? They were arbitrary and capricious in making these determinations outside of what Congress said, and they threw out the whole need for itineraries, for these third-party contracts, any of these sorts of things that they've needed to put on them. They threw out this entire memo from 2008, and they did it in spectacular fashion. And really, hats off to this attorney, Jonathan Wasden. I was with ITServe Alliance Political Action Committee when we interviewed lawyers to do that, and John won out because he used to be an attorney for USCIS. He used to litigate on their behalf with the Department of Justice, so he knew where their soft underbelly was. He knew where the bodies were buried and knew how to attack. And he did a great job, and it was a fantastic thing he did in getting this case overturned. And John helped me not too long ago. I was representing a rugby player in Major League Rugby, and they revoked his case on the concept that the league wasn't internationally recognized. We'd had 62 straight visas approved, and all of a sudden they started looking at these cases. They denied a couple, not just for us, but for other lawyers that were representing these firms, and then they started revoking, and they revoked this guy, right? And this was a really horrible story. So here's this guy, one of the top scorers in the league, high scorer on his team. They do this on a Thursday. They got a game against Saturday against the league leading team. So we were able to stay up all night, wrote these documents, and my client was also a lawyer. He walks into a New Orleans judge at 5 till 5, and the judge gave us a temporary restraining order, allowing the player to play and go forward. And then the next week, immigration just concedes, gives him his visa back. And we're like, oh, this is great. Then they come out and they ask the same question again in another case, right? So we're really in an interesting place. Immigration attorneys really have to look at litigation now to really kind of punch back against the schoolyard bully who's pushing us down and trying to take our lunch money, right? That's what we tell our sons, or don't take that anymore, right? So, we punched back. We won. Jonathan won big. It's really cool to see that on his case. And what we're going to do is we're building in all of this language into immigration because it's really interesting. Jonathan and I did a conference call to the U.S.-India Business Council last week to talk about, one, from the perspective of a litigator of him and perspective from someone who does the visa. What do we do with this information? So right now we're building new briefs. We've incorporated into our model brief that our software at OnlineVisas spits out, where we are dealing with these new victories, which are happening all over the country. Another really good case called Inspection Expert Corporation was in North Carolina. John did that one too, where they really attacked, and they got an immigration case thrown out because immigration wouldn't even look at this expert opinion, didn't even deal with it whatsoever. And we see that a lot, especially on our extraordinary ability, where they just won't look at all of our evidence. They'll find something, we call it the thread of the sweater, right? They take the thread and they unpeel the whole sweater, like, we don't get it here, so the whole thing's not rotten, right? So litigation's kind of where we're going right now with some of these cases, but we're still having some victories. We got a really big one today. A guy that was watching last week, Sheldon Fernandez. Sheldon works for LucidCam, and LucidCam was invented by a really cool guy. Part Asian and part German, and he is a distance professor at Cal Berkeley. And these two guys, Sheldon and Han, invented this fantastic virtual reality stuff, and now they're dealing in cameras, and they have their software inside the Red camera, which is a really excellent camera inside of a phone, and they did that, and Sheldon's visa just got approved yesterday. We're really happy about that for him, so he's breathing a little bit easier. These are tough times right now, right? So as we're all anxious and we're sheltering in our homes, or I'm sheltering in my office, think about those folks that don't know if they're going to be able to still be here. I get calls every day from companies or individuals saying, well, what do we do with our foreign nationals? What if we have to lay them off, which is happening all the time? Well, you can. All right. What if we have to furlough them? Well, you can. What if we can't pay them anymore? Well, okay. I think we're going to be okay with that. What if can they go get unemployment? Well, that had been a hard no. It'd been a hard no that if you ever collected unemployment from either a state or federal government, you were called a public charge if you're a foreign national. Well, immigration, did the right thing. And they said, look, if it's because of the COVID virus and your company shuts you down, because the governments are shutting these companies down. Imagine if you're working in a restaurant, especially hospitality, those sort of things, or just not an essential company. Those folks are going to be laid off or fired, and now they can go down and get unemployment, but they have to prove it's because of the COVID virus. So if you're an employer and you're listening to this, put something in their record, in their file, that said that the reason that they went down was because of this. And if you're applying for unemployment and you're a foreign national, make sure that you say it was because of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. That way, when you actually have to fill out your immigration paperwork again, there's this whole section on public charge, which ironically just started this year. So you have to lay down that's the reason you did it, and that's what we're going to do. Now, right now, everybody's very sympathetic, right? But fast forward about a half a year, maybe a year, once we're past this, people become mean again, right? So anyway, get all that sort of stuff. I see some great people out there are watching. Dave Clancy, it's great seeing you. John Tarpoff, thanks for tuning in. Jeffrey Ormsby, Lee Fithian, really nice to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm John Velie, immigration attorney, talking about the coronavirus during the COVID pandemic. No, that's not right. Immigration during the coronavirus pandemic. Todd Smith, my favorite Longhorn, maybe my only Longhorn I like. Pat Guthrie, good to see you out there. Kelly Thompson and Jeff Singh. Looking forward to talking to Jeff Singh with some doctors from California. We really want to help out, right? I mean, we are really trying to focus on how we can bring medical providers here. Typically, we just are an immigration firm. And if you have a company and you want to hire a foreign national, or you're a foreign national and has a company that wants to hire you, that's what we do, right? But we have expanded our services recently. We have a nice pocket of doctors in India that would like to come over here. So if you're in the healthcare profession and you know of the need for doctors, especially New York and New Jersey right now, and here's why. So in New York and New Jersey, one of the requirements for the H-1B visa is you have, and if it's in a profession that requires a license, you have to have that license, right? So if you want to practice law, you have to have a U.S. law degree. Not so simple to get. Now, some of these states will have a temporary license while you study for it, right? And you can do that. Well, New York and New Jersey have now just waived the entire requirement of a state medical license, right? That's how bad it is right there. So we have doctors. right? And there's a need, and we'd like to get them there. So if you know anybody that's connected, especially in New York and New Jersey, with hospitals, especially university hospitals. The reason why university hospitals, the universities do not have a cap on the H-1B. They can hire anytime they want. Unfortunately, there's a cap on everybody else, right? So the other medical providers would have to wait almost a year and a half to get these workers in. But university hospitals can do it now. So if you know university hospitals, don't limit it to New York and New Jersey. We'll talk to anybody. But New York and New Jersey, we can get them in now. And we have a pocket of people that are ready to go. So we want to move in that direction. We want to help these folks out. If you know anybody in those sectors, just somebody that knows somebody, we'd love to talk to them. We just were introduced to an assemblywoman from New York today. We've exchanged some emails there. I'm excited to talk to her about how we can help get her state some of these doctors that want to come up there. This isn't going to go away though, right? I mean, we don't just need to solve this problem today. Do you know, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, the stat I saw was by 2023, we're going to have a shortage of doctors over 220,000. Right? This is because of our aging population. More and more people are aging out of the workplace and also need to be cared for. Right? The baby boomers. That's what's happening. And every year, more of them are aging out. And we need to be able to help them. And that's, so we want to do that. We've done bits and babs of it. We've, represented lots of medical practitioners and medical facilities over the years, right? I was able to bring in the doctor that discovered the AIDS virus from France, Lou Montagnier. That was a great case. And some guys from Johns Hopkins that were world class, and a number of other doctors and other medical professions that brought some people in. As a matter of fact, the client that is introducing me to the New York Assemblyman is a physical therapist facility in New York, and we helped their client in, and they were really worried. What are we going to do? They have started telemedicine with physical therapists, which is a great idea, and it was really ironic. They started doing that literally 2 weeks before the pandemic hit. I mean, they didn't know this was going to happen, and all of a sudden they're a little bit ahead of it, where people that are needing their therapy can be at home and get that done. So just thinking about this, and it begs the question of some other things that that are going to go in. What do you think the post-coronavirus world is going to be like? Maybe the beginning of next semester, next fall, will be all online. What's going to happen to universities? I mean, will people get a taste for just having the online university experience more than they do now? And will there be less of that university thing? I really hope not. I went to two universities. I went to the University of Oklahoma to start with, and I graduated from the University of California, Berkeley. And they were so uniquely different in the people I met, the places they were, the communities, all of that. I loved them both, dearly, and I really felt that those two times in my life, which were a little bit distinct. I mean, they, starting as a freshman, you're wide-eyed, kind of. I started in my own town, but then going to a totally different place and having to kind of reinvent yourself was really interesting. But, I would hate to see the university experience go away. And my stepdaughter, Ava, and my nephew, Luke, are both starting university this fall, and neither one of them may be able to experience that. Now, Ava's probably going to stay here in Oklahoma, but Luke actually got accepted into Cal Berkeley. He'll be the first one since my brother and I went from our family, and this is Will's son, Luke. And what a bummer for him not to have that fall experience. I mean, there are a few places that are as great as a university town during the fall. I mean, it is fantastic. You're kind of getting there at the end of the summer, meeting all sorts of new people, and it's fantastic. And a lot of these kids are going to lose their freshman experience, and the same kids that are going to lose their graduation from high school. So really, a lot of different victims to this pandemic. That's just one of the many. But on that note, really, thinking about all of you. Hope you're doing well. It's great to see Joe Gonzalez, one hell of a guy out there, and Marcus Gowans, really cool, and I appreciate that. Anyway, you guys take care, be healthy, shelter in place, do the smart things. This is going to be a tough week in our country, and the next 3 weeks are going to be brutal. They've been saying that for a while, but as this sets in a little bit, we can get a little complacent. But I just want to tell you, I've had some great times with either group texting. Texting's kind of taken over a little bit from Facebook, and the fact that people can say anything on a text. And Facebook, there's all sorts of other people watching. We've been doing that with the Cal Berkeley guys. That's been a lot of fun. And yesterday had a Zoom happy hour with the Maccabi gold medalist team, or actually it was all of the Maccabi guys, rugby guys of 93 and 97, silver and gold medalists. We had a blast. Got a little bit, little buzz on there. Had a lot of fun with the guys. A great laugh. It was fantastic. It's not quite the same as being there, but sometimes when you're hanging out with your loved ones, it's great to see and hear your friends. So some great apps out there. House Party, we've been doing that one. My friends Yancey and the Gartons and the Moorings, our friends here in Norman, we've been house partying. That's a great app, and Zoom is really cool. So try some of that stuff out, and have fun with each other, enjoy, and we'll see you next time. John Velie, CEO of OnlineVisas. Take care, be safe.